last 5 years. And lastly, we've got Durga, who is a business administration graduate from University, which is also my alma mater. After working in as an analyst at Goldman, she has now poured into policy making at Bihar. And Durga is also going to be the moderator for today. So a round of applause for all the lovely ladies on the stage. So I'm handing over to Durga now to moderate the topic today. Just before we get started, the panel is going to be on for 20 minutes, post which we're going to open it up for Q&A for 10 minutes after that. Post which is a small session again back in the cafeteria where you just came from. So request you to kindly proceed there post the session, after which we're going to open up for entertaining food and drinks, yeah? Alright, over to you.
Thank you, Bhavita. So, the theme in mind is doing, the entire concept of women entrepreneurs. We have these lovely ladies here today who have accomplished so much. What I'd like to start off with that actually is with Susan. So, you created a dedicated platform for women to sort of network. I guess you've seen through your numerous years of experience that there is a tendency for a separate platform altogether. So, would you maybe introduce me a little bit as well as talk about where you see that student and opportunities are?
Sure. So, incidentally, I know all the three panelists beforehand, so it's nice to see all of them today. I'll tell you a story as to where this started. I used to work with a company called Cognizant. I used to be the strategy consulting practice for them. I've been advising CXOs across the globe for about 10 years now. A lot of people ask me, are you crazy to quit that and start off on your own? But then the story goes like this. There was this event a couple of years ago, a leadership conference, where my partner, co-founder of this venture, Norma, and I attended. That in the background. We walk into the room where the event is happening, and we are the only two women amongst 60 men in the room. This was not the first time this had happened to us, but for some reason it struck a chord, and we started wondering where did all those smart women that we studied with, where did all of them disappear? So this got us thinking, and whenever we looked at the places where we work, we realized that firstly the percentage of women in the workforce was less, and if you go up the leadership levels, the number of women is even lesser. We ended up speaking to 250 women across the globe to find out what is really happening. Why aren't women, rising up to leadership levels as much as they should? And we realized that there are a lot of things that we need in order to succeed in our careers. And today women do not have an avenue to go and access all those resources to create your profile and create visibility for yourself.
Report, and when we got to see the number, I still felt that 17% is so high. I don't get to see them anywhere. So that's where we lack. Right? Community itself, I think before it used to be about mentors, finding mentors. That I feel it's relatively very difficult, and it's not that scalable, where if it's a community like us, we all belong to one community, right? We all can help each other. It is not only one person who can help 10 people or 20 people or 100 people. We all can become one network. Like, I think that's what the app does, the Star and Me. So I myself would want to try it out. I think we all can try us out, and we all can still be connected post this event as well.
I've seen that a lot of women tend to be concentrated in certain fields, right? You see a lot more women in like FMCG, you see a lot more women in certain industries. So my next question is actually to Ms. Radhika, because she's done 13 years in nuclear energy, which is not...
I'm into solar.
Solar. Okay, sure, yeah, that's, but you still don't see... But you still don't see a lot of women in your field, right? So as compared to, let's say, other industries. So do you think that, how has that shaped your startup? How does that shape your career as an entrepreneur?
Thanks, everybody. So I'm part of Rare Energy, which is a solar company, and it's 5 years old. So it's a good question that you have asked, and I always thought that I've been in the minority, be it in engineering, design work. I was an application engineer back in the US. In the nuclear engineering department also, you see that there are very few women. And then you get into, I was in GE, again, even there are a lot of, very few women. And one of the largest ball bearing manufacturer called SKF, it's a Swedish company. Even there we were like 2 engineers. And you could see that there was very few women in design and engineering related works. and it starts from engineering days itself, right? Like if you're in mechanical engineering, things are changing a lot. I mean, I've heard stories in the 80s where there's like one girl in a mechanical engineering group, and now it is like almost 30% to 40% are women. So things have evolved a lot, and I think it's headed in the right direction. But this whole diversity issue is across all sectors, right? And today I'm very proud to say that I have more than 20-25% of my workforce is women, and it was not like a planned decision or something like that. It was like purely out of no biases. We went ahead with our recruitment plans, and we have more than 20% of our company with women employees. The other business model that we typically have, we have something called channel partners. We have channel partners pan-India basis, and we sell our product through our channels, and we are trying to diversify even that. And I was just talking to Uma about how we can bring a lot of women onto that platform where very little time is required and you can be having a lot of flexibility. I think that is what is needed for women today. I see that any environment that gives a little bit of flexibility, I think it's bang on. I think India is also moving away from like, you know, are you checking in, checking out kind of a thing. And a lot of organizations like, you know, the Cognizance, or I've heard every large MNC today talking about how do you fight this diversity, right? Like how do you increase the workforce? They are trying to take their measures on, you know, the company front where they're giving flexible working, you know, maternity leave policy, you know, paternity leave policy. There's so many things that are evolving, and I think it's all headed in the right direction today. So yeah, for me in my industry, yes, I've been like literally one or two people, but it's not changed my thinking or anything else. I think it's equal opportunity for everybody. So yeah.
Thank you for that. So my next question is actually, I don't know if I have a particular person I want to ask it to. So what we see with a lot of people when we talk to people about women entrepreneurship or initiatives targeted towards women, the first question is why something separate for women, right? An entrepreneur is an entrepreneur, whether a man or a woman. And we get asked these questions a lot, and I'm sure all of you do as well. And I see Swati nodding along, so I'm pretty sure she faces this question a lot. So one of the things that maybe I would like a little bit for all of you to highlight is what do you think has been the most challenging experience as an entrepreneur, and how is you being a woman sort of impacted that challenging experience? Do you want to begin?
So I think entrepreneurship, coming from a corporate career of around 17 years, in fact tomorrow is the day, the first year of my journey as an entrepreneur. So, and I can tell you with a lot of confidence that it is nothing like corporate life. So it's probably on the other extreme. As an entrepreneur, I think one of the most challenging things has been, you know, in a corporate life, especially after you spend so much time and you've reached a certain level, you don't do a lot of things on your own. You know, you would get to delegate, you know, you have an entire team supporting you. As an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting off, you have to do everything on your own. And these are things that you don't know how to do. You know, how do you set up a company? What kind of policies are you supposed to follow? Where do you find investment? Who do you know, how can you find your vendors? Who is the CA who's going to help you draft your articles of association? So everything is a learning experience. You almost go back to the drawing board, become a student and start to learn. So it's almost essential to find somebody who's been there and done that before, because you know, don't have the money, time or resources to spend on reinventing the wheel, making mistakes and learning from them. So I think the availability of people who you can talk to either as a mentor or someone who's been there and done that. So I luckily, because of my corporate experience and the network, I could find a lot of people who've actually been on this journey, and I could reach out and talk to them. In fact, Radhika was one of them. We happened to be neighbors. So initially in my journey, maybe around 8-9 months ago, Radhika and I connected. She's been in the entrepreneurship field for 5 years. Her company just completed 5 years yesterday. So we had a chat, and she was very helpful in helping me understand how to navigate the entire ecosystem. So I think finding people who can guide you on this entrepreneurial journey, irrespective of how senior you were in the corporate sector, I think that's very important. So once you sort out that challenge, I think the rest becomes easy.
Battling your own issues, and you're not communicating with anybody else because you don't want to come out with your team with lack of clarity, right? Lack of where you're headed. So this is when it's really important that they actually reach out to coaches, mentors, or within the community. It's very important to build that, and I think that is one of the reasons why we have this women platforms all the time, and we are trying to promote, and this is one way to connect. It doesn't matter to me gender wise, but I'm saying that it gives them the confidence. Many people feel that, can I reach out, right? I mean, it's okay to go get a coffee and talk about your hiring challenges or your branding positioning, or it could be just about which geographies to go after, or how do you chalk out something, right? So these are the things where instead of losing a day, you will be surprised how much you will gain by actually going and talking to a coach, or a mentor, right? And it can just, it's not a very formalized thing in India yet, but I think Uma and all are trying to get that thing very formalized, where you're actually working with coaches, business coaches at leadership level. So I think people should start doing that as well.
Me, I think I can relate to what they're saying, and when I started off, I just have close to 2 years of experience at a startup where I was the only female developer. So you can imagine how much of a network I have. From 10th to intermediate, I didn't have even one friend coming along with me for Krishnamurti coaching classes. And then I was attempting IIT, I didn't get through IIT. I went into Srinidhi. There I again didn't have even one friend coming along with me from Krishnamurti to engineering. And then from there I went to a master's, to do my master's in computer science, University of Memphis. There I got a full scholarship. Again I was the only one who went there. And to come back again I was the only one. So you can imagine how weak of a network I have. And when I started off, I think this was like the big deal, right? My co-founder, my husband, he's from Bitspilani, and he has a big network, and he doesn't leverage it because he's a pro with tech. He doesn't need any help, though he has that help. And I'll be like, I need to know this, I need to know that, and I don't know whom to talk, what to talk. And then I came across Women Tech Makers program. They had public speaking workshop. From there I got picked up. Now I have a bigger network than him, right? But it took quite a lot of effort, only spending and getting introductions and getting to know, being part of networks, being part of community. So I really think that community is really, really important. It's need of the hour for women who are either doing entrepreneurship or pursuing a serious career.
Thank you so much for that. So I think one of the things that Ms. Radhika as well as Ms. Uma has mentioned, so you spoke about this instance where there were just 2 women in the entire room. You spoke about how if you could give a little bit of flexibility to women, they could really be part of the workforce. And I remember just the other day when we were at another panel discussion, somebody was talking about, if there was a woman that was sort of curating when a networking session should be, she would realize that evening is a really bad time for a woman. You'd just make it in the afternoon. And it's things as simple as that would help women be part of the workforce, sustain in the workforce, because networking sessions are important, and by putting them in the evening and balancing out different responsibilities, it becomes really difficult. So I think my next question would be around the lines of what are these small efforts that you, everybody, all of you here today, think we should keep in mind to encourage women in the workforce, women entrepreneurs or women in tech, for example, to make sure that there's sustained participation. I think that's also one of the things that's really ringing the sound bell between all 3 of your answers. You're talking about how they come into the workforce, but where is the leaky pipeline? So how do you think, or what piece of advice would you give to people to say, to encourage women to be part of this entire system?
I think there are like multiple challenges. One thing I would talk about is like we don't have enough women role models. So we don't even think that, that is a norm for us. When I got into Women Tech Makers, I got to know about so many people who are doing wonders since 30 years, 40 years. Then I see my mom and I'm like, we are all doing, this generation is going beyond what is beyond families, beyond kids and all, but these people are doing since long time, since many years. That would have been the biggest inspiration, and we would have had many women out here, right here. You look at the count here and we'll get to know like how many of us are here. So the leakages happen. One is marriage, the other is kids, I myself, I had women employees at my startup. I don't see people going beyond, though they say they have a lot of ambitions. I see they have more talent than the male peers, but then that won't sustain. So the major barriers are these, and these become major barriers primarily because that is not set in our mind. Like for us, the norm is to raise very really good kids and make good citizens and make them achieve more. So this is like something that we see everyone, but that's not the thing, that's not the reality, because we don't even come out, right? I know so many speakers whom I invite, they don't even have time to come and talk. Though they have stellar profiles, they don't have time, because that itself is a big deal. I mean, they have come to that level, next I think they start showing up. So I think first, that big vision and that big inspirations we can get through, seeing more women role models, highlighting their stories more.
I think one piece of advice is, I think this goes for everybody, not just women, but it is important to communicate with your peers and the managers, because many times you start assuming that you will not get flexibility or your role has to continue to be the same. You need to start delivering the same exact things or do the same kind of travel. So it is important to communicate the challenges you're facing and have a real conversation with your managers. Typically that is because quitting is not always important, and that's not the only solution. There's always a way to work around sabbaticals. People are not educated about how you can actually take time off. It could be on a personal reason, it could be for your health, it could be for whatever reason, right? And you can work a career out where you're proposing to be a consultant. You can decide to do something different, which is something you can offer, right? Without even exploring that, people end up discontinuing these things. Because even in my organization, I have people who said that I got married, I need to move now to Kadapa, so I cannot work for you. Then I said, no, you're a design engineer, why are you thinking of discontinuing that design work? I actually proposed that, but if it was anybody else, they would just take the resignation letter, because they will not think through the fact that that person could still continue to support us, because it is matter of providing them laptop and internet, and they'll be more than happy to work with us. And they're really happy doing that. I have a lot of employees who actually have flexibility around this. They don't need to come into the office every day. They work with my team, they work remotely. There are few people on this category. I had one girl who's joined me like 4 years ago. She went through her maternity break once, and she's back with the company. So people, men are aware that this is the only other sex that is available over there. It is not like they are not aware of the fact that women have to go through pregnancy and they need that time off. Earlier it was 3 months, now it is 6 months mandatory maternity. Things are evolving, right? That 6 months can be extended about having a child. I had a 1.5-year-old or 2-year-old boy when I started Freer. I just had a baby last year. I have a 10-month-old at home right now. I agree that I have a support system, but you need to start reaching out to your family, your friends, whoever it is. You have to build your ecosystem to make sure you're doing what you're doing. And again, like I said, communicate with your peers. It's possible to work out a solution to continue your, dream or aspiration. Sometimes you have to take a break, it's okay, right? The most legitimate break a woman can ever take and not give an explanation is their maternity break or any time. Do not think that you're losing your skill set just because you're out of work for 2 years. What you've achieved before that is phenomenally great, and you can start adding a lot of value. Do not compare yourself with the people who are just graduating like in 2018-19. So already gathered so much experience. You need to go back and start somewhere. So do not, down and say, yeah, it was a team effort. Stop doing that. Praise yourself when it is required. Your visibility is your responsibility. So personal branding extremely important. The second thing is networking. A lot of us mentioned today that networks are really helpful to get things done. So it's very important to network. Build your own network across your company, across the industry. It'll always come in handy. You can get to learn from other people who've traversed similar paths as you and so on. The third thing is get career guidance, mentoring whenever you need it. Seek guidance from people who've been there and done that, so that you can learn from their mistakes instead of committing mistakes yourself. So don't hesitate to ask for help. The fourth thing is continue to upskill yourself in the current world where transformation, is happening on almost a daily basis. Ensure that you don't stick to the old skill sets that you graduated with. Keep upskilling yourself, which will be very important for you as you grow in your careers. So as part of the Star in Me, in fact, I mentioned that we spoke to about 250 women globally. These were the key themes that emerged out of these discussions, and hence the platform, the Star in Me. I encourage all you women to check it out. It allows you to do all these things at the click of a button. So you network at the click of a button, you create a unique digital profile to build your personal brand and so on. So yeah, these are the things we're trying to address. And I think once you do all this very well, then all of us women are extremely talented, more dedicated, amongst the ones that I've hired and worked with. So nothing can stop you from succeeding.
The entrepreneurial ecosystem in India, with an emphasis on gender. And as I walked, you guys talked about your experiences walking into rooms where you're the only woman, and I've had that similar experience in the US and in India. And here you see the opposite. This is a room mostly full of women, which is great, but also I think it's a disadvantage because men need to be part of this conversation. So
for the Star in Me platform over a period of time with organizations as well as with individuals, I was pleasantly surprised to see a lot of men coming forward saying they could become ambassadors for us, because all of us are equally invested in the fact that we need more women in the workforce and in leadership. So it's encouraging to see that men have started to realize that too, and they're willing to work with us in pursuing this vision. So it is important to encourage them to be a part of the conversation. Talk to men to try and understand what they think women could do better, what do they think they can give in terms of assistance to women. So it's something that we have to do together, especially in large organizations. When they start mentoring programs, they ensure that you always have men also as mentors, because the fact of the matter is across the globe, not only in India, men occupy majority of the leadership positions. So you need to learn from them because they've crossed a lot of barriers to get there. So it's important to make men as mentors for women too, and encourage them to participate in discussions and discover ways that they can help diversity at an overarching level.
This question, in fact, fortunately I can say that I had got a chance to work with good women, because of which my career survived and thrived. And I also agree to her point that many a times speaking out, sometimes when you speak out about your problem, solutions do come your way. Because of that, I've worked for 16-17 years now and reached up to the leadership level. But specifically for your platform, I have recently relocated to Hyderabad and was trying to look out for opportunities. Very recently, I was being interviewed for a leadership role. After everything was done, then the role told me, and that the person told me that the role requires you to be in office till 10 p.m. I said, not possible. I have a child, and I think it's not about me. Most of the women, if you're looking for a leadership role specifically, women will be in a certain age bracket, and let's assume that I'll say majority will have a kid to manage. So I wouldn't want to commit to something which is not sustainable in the long run. So I said it's not something which is feasible. It's not about a week or 2 weeks. Though I'll be available to work from home anytime that you want me to, but I'll have to leave office say by 5 p.m. I of course did not get that role. I was also very clear about it. So what she said, and about your firm specifically, if there is a possibility to also sensitize men, if there's a possibility to also include men in such discussions. I know there's no 100% solution available right now to call them and sit in this kind of discussion. But if forum like yours can have men also participate in that and understand the challenges that we face. Women, perhaps we all know each other's challenges. But how do we tell them that this is a practical challenge is something which will be great if maybe your product or service that you have launched can be included in that. I'll go.
Recently I was speaking at a panel about the topic of unconscious bias. So while you were talking about the fact that it might be difficult for a lot of women to work till 10 p.m. and that should never be a case for you to lose out on an opportunity. On the other side, there have been instances, and someone was talking about this, a manager had an on-site project opportunity and he had a couple of deserving members in his team. One of them had recently returned from a maternity break of 6 months, so her baby must have been 8 months. The manager assumed that this lady cannot travel, relative was, and done this project. So I think there's a lot of unconscious bias also that we're trying to tackle, but great suggestion. I think we will anyways keep this in mind as we start talking to more organizations.
I reached up in the last stage of the interview women finally, and like it's
fine. It will take some time around everything. So I think we are good at it.
We have one last question. Yeah, I'll switch to mic.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so like. Yeah, so like.
This is the suggestion that I got from Mahindra when we did International Women's Day, because they will already be part of the office and they would be, they can just come over like this, they can come over and they can attend, because flexibility and work hours is what we are talking about, right?
So that is,
I'm so sorry to interrupt this. We have overshot the time by 8 minutes. But please feel free to continue this conversation once we've opened it up for conversation forward. With that, all the other panels have dispersed as well, and we are open for networking in the cafeteria. There's food and drinks. We've got beer, Coke, whatever the preference is. We request you to join there. Once again, thank you very much for visiting us today. Thank you.
So we are a cold pressed juice company, a 2-year-old startup based out of Hyderabad. So our intent is to spread awareness in health among all the people of Hyderabad, and then expanding, of course, worldwide. But as of now, we are just focusing on Hyderabad, and our intent is to make people aware of what is good for their health and what is not. People today generally are not aware of what is good for their health, but we make sure that we make people understand that the health is the most important factor, and we have to make sure that we are a healthy being. And we at cold press technology and cold pressed, we make sure that we cater to all these needs of people. So we are a brand, a 2-year-old and cold pressed brand startup, and these are all different products that we are into. So we do home delivery of our juices, 250 ml quantity juices every day, so that we make sure that people who are connected to us, people who are living close to us, are all living a healthy life. People generally do not focus much on their health. They are focused more on earning and more on working, and because of that, they are least focused on their health. So we are just in the trial period of making people more aware of their health, more aware of their health products, and this is why we are doing sampling of our cold pressed juices at 91 Springboard Kondapur launch event, and we are getting a good response from people all over the space over here, and we are hoping that people will soon move to healthy living. Thank you. Just incurred. So these are just the bottle price that we have, and the bottle price is ₹100. So these are 250 ml quantity products that we deliver every day, and these are priced at just flat ₹100. People who are taking more than a bottle, we can obviously have good pricing offers for them, and of course we have different product lines. We have well-being juices, we have detox, and we have weight loss package. People are loving the well-being juices and detox. People are also focusing towards weight loss package, because as we know that a lot of people in Hyderabad are obese or are overweight. So we are focusing towards making people aware of the weight loss package, and that's where our focus is as of now.
I am painting black hole over here right now. I am more fascinated into astronomy, so yeah, I am painting that. There are many types of painting, but I am more fascinated into astronomy and space art, so that's what I reflect in my art.